Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I am going to grab a link. Copy. That is a link if anybody does want to join, and if they don't, well, that's fine too. Once again, I do want to remind everybody that the only caveat that I have, if you do want to come up, is that you have to show your face. So there's that. I don't watch Michael Ehline. I know he thinks that I do. I can't really stand him as a person. I mean, no offense to him. There's a lot of people I can't stand. I don't watch his content mostly because I have nothing to learn from it. It's not interesting. It's not fun. It would just me getting aggravated over him lying about what the law is and what the law isn't, and him confusing his political views for legal views. So I don't really do it. But I have been hearing over and over again about how Ehline is now a hand amputation attorney, and he's big time. He's a civil rights attorney. He's this. He's that. He is the next thing. Well, someone had asked him. One of the people in my Discord had asked him, hey, what cases have you done? And he directed them to look at Pacer. Now, I don't know if that's because Michael Ehline's retarded, and he doesn't know how Pacer works, or because he was actually just directing them to find out that he isn't representing anybody, and he hasn't been representing anybody, at least not in a civil rights action in federal court for fucking ever and a day. Now, I want to caveat all of this by saying that you can sue under 42 USC 1983 in state court, at least in California. The thing is that the attorneys who tend to play around with 1983 defenses tend to play around with 1983 defenses in federal court. And since it's a federal cause of action, the very first thing that they are most likely going to do, if you do file it in state court, is to remove the entire action to federal court. Mr. Caruso. Mr. Caruso. I just love saying your name, Mr. Caruso. I'm sorry. Coded has forever ingrained that Mr. Caruso into my head. So anyway, there is a theoretical likelihood that Michael Ehline has been filing all sorts of civil rights actions in California state court. I'm gonna go ahead and press X to doubt. Now, what you see here is Pacer Case Locator, and you see I've looked for last name Ehline, first name Michael, and there's 4 cases now. He is the plaintiff in the first case, Grievous et al. Versus Carlsbad Auto Service et al. I don't think anybody's really interested in that. And then there was this one. This one is a civil rights cause of action, where he was the plaintiff, Michael Paul Ehline versus West Covina, City of, et al. Well, apparently our boy filed pro per back in 1998 in forma pauperis. I ain't here to judge, Michael Ehline. I ain't here to judge. I'm just pointing out things. Things are getting pointed out. That's all I'm doing. Pointing things out. So he sued, excuse me. He sued a bunch of cops and the city of West Covina. Now, why he did that, I don't know. I'm going to assume that he didn't like his little arrest. But the other funny thing is that very quickly, about 4 months after filing his lawsuit, he subbed in an attorney to represent him. He wasn't happy with the level of representation that he was receiving from Michael P. Ehline, so he fired Michael P. Ehline and hired Jeff D. Price. So Michael Ehline fired himself. But again, this was 1998. I'm not here to judge him. So what do we have? Well, we have this USA versus Osata Pongkan Titikorn or Thitikorn. I don't know. Don't judge me for how I mispronounce those Southeast Asian names. Looks like Thai or something like that. What was going on in this case? This is in 2007. Was Michael P. Ehline representing the United States of America? No, he was not. Was he representing the defendant, Osata Pongkan Thitikorn? No, he was not. So what was he doing? Well, this Osata Pongkan Thitikorn apparently forced a boy to slurp his pee-pee while he was on a cruise ship. I know, terrible. You shouldn't be making little boys slurp your pee-pee, period. And Michael Ehline apparently sued this Osata Pongkan Thitikorn as the representative of the little boy and or his parents. I don't know exactly the relationship in there. Don't really care. But he was representing the victim. And what how he got involved in this is he basically petitioned the court in the criminal matter to allow him to depose the defendant in the criminal matter in prison and or jail, wherever the hell he was. So that's what that was. And then the final case that we have on here is Marvin R. Washington et al. The et al. Would be Mr. Washington's wife, against Officer R. Montanez et al. So what did Michael Paul Ehline do in this case? Well, what Michael Paul Ehline did in this case is he filed a lawsuit on behalf of the Washingtons. I think he filed. Anyway, there was a breakdown in the attorney-client relationship, and Mr. Ehline had to file a petition to remove himself as the attorney of record for the Washingtons. So that is the extent. That is the extent of what Michael Paul Ehline has done in federal civil rights lawsuits. And I want to point out, he directed this person. I think it was Boy 1982 or something like that. He directed this person to go to Pacer to see the lawsuits that Michael Ehline has filed and is currently active in. So don't accuse me of building a straw man and burning it down. The reason why I'm here on Pacer is because this is where Mr. Ehline said to look. Anyway. So the next thing, switching topics, this is Honor Your Oath. You know, again, I feel kind of bad doing this to Jeff. I mean, he's not really terribly wrong in this one. I won't say too much terrible. But in this particular one, he is going to record outside of the Anastasia Island branch of the St. Johns County Public Library. Got to keep these library tyrants on their toes. You don't want these library tyrants taking away your freedom of speech with their shh. I am enjoying a libation, a Farmers Brewing Company light beer, 99 calories per 12-ounce can, because I'm a fatty McFatterson. And I worked very hard all day today. We processed a whole bunch of chickens. We processed about 15, 16 chickens, which means that we slaughtered and butchered them. So that's always fun. Really don't like that. But then I worked on getting my pond going. It's a stock tank, 300-gallon stock tank that I had up on the deck. Like beer's not beer, says Matto. That is a correct statement. But fat boys are fat, and so sacrifices are being made, Matto. Sacrifices are being made. So anyway, getting that tank or getting that stock tank drained, getting the fish caught, getting the plants out, getting it cleaned up, getting it moved, making sure the hole was level, all sorts of fun stuff. Anyway, it was a long day of a lot of hard work, and I am now relaxing with a beer. But anyway, free speech verboten. I don't know how much I want to drag you through this. So it goes to this Anastasia Island branch of the St. John's County Public Library System. This is the building. This is quite the artistic shot. Let's see if we can't do this. That's the building right there. So he was standing right around here doing his little thing. No, Jasper suggests that's why they're all quiet. No, we killed all the roosters. So one of them escaped. And any tips? Have a sharp knife to. Do you have a cone? Like, I don't know if you have a cone. If you don't have a cone, make little slip knots to put their feet in. Give them a nice clean slice right under the jawline. Removing the innards. Do you have I just found out today they make a lung scraper. I'm planning on buying one. I got big hands, and it's hard to get the lungs out. Anyway, getting distracted. So anyway, this is the Anastasia Island Branch Library. This is where he was. Well, as you could see, he goes to this, and I'm always so leery of when I see things like this. He found this and he cropped it out, right? He cropped it out. What's he hiding? Is always the what's he hiding. So obviously I go and I find the whole shebang. This is the whole shebang. So the St. John's County Public Library is as a limited public forum, has the authority to make reasonable rules that are universally applicable regarding the allowed use of library buildings and property, including content neutral restriction of conduct involving passing out literature. So use of the library buildings and property. Now, if someone is going to interpret this, let's just pretend it was a statute. It's not a statute, but let's just pretend it was. If they were going to interpret this, the court would have to give meanings to the word building, and it would also have to give meaning to the word property. So library property is going to be under the limited public forum. Now it says the public sidewalk around the library property is a traditional public forum subject to reasonable time, place, and manner restrictions on those wishing to use them for purposes protected by the First Amendment. As such, the library allows people to circulate petitions outside our facilities. Now, you see they won't approach or otherwise impede. Solicitors will not block, hinder, interfere, approach, or otherwise impede patrons and staff wishing to exit or enter the building, nor seek to intimidate patrons or staff into signing a petition or accepting a leaflet. Again, solicitors must remain a minimum of 15 feet away from any library entrance or exit. Would this be a reasonable time, place, or manner restriction? I don't know. It's a great question. Except during the time that the library is serving as a polling place, when section yada, yada, yada states solicitors may not come within 150 feet of the entrance to any polling place. Good evening, Mr. Killian. So he shows down to as. That's what he shows. That's what he shows. He shows down to as. Now, why doesn't he show the reasonable time, place, and manner restrictions? Isn't that weird? Isn't that weird that he doesn't show what the library at least thinks is a reasonable time, place, or manner restriction? So then he goes on to say that that he is on a public sidewalk. That's what he's saying right there. He's saying he's on a public sidewalk. And this public sidewalk, he's under a American flag. This is the quintessential public forum. And the problem is that this is a motherfucking parking lot. This is not a road. This looks like a road. This is not a county road. This is a public, or not, this is not necessarily a public parking lot. This is a parking lot. Is it maintained by the county? Well, that's a great question. If it's not maintained by the county, then it's certainly not a traditional public forum. And it appears to be a parking lot. And I've never seen a parking lot described as a traditional public forum. Let's see, 15 feet. I don't know how far 15 feet is, but if he's standing right here, is he 15 feet away from the entrance? That's a great question, John. And I, for one, am glad you asked. Can making money on the video be solicitation? Solicitation doesn't necessarily mean panhandling in these various things. Solicitation can be trying to sell you something. Solicitation can be all sorts of wonderful things. It's not necessarily just panhandling, but probably no. In theory, if there was some sort of a restriction on commercial filming, in theory, they might have it worded in such a way where it would capture people who are filming these things to make money on YouTube, in theory. But no, this isn't going to be this isn't that. So you can also see, when we go back to this view, you'll see the well, first of all, you see that looks like it's county property right there, because that color gray matches this color gray. But I could be a conspiracy theorist about that. But all the rest of this is grayed out, light gray. And if you look, here's London Looks Hair Design. London Looks Hair Design. Its address is 132 Seagrove Main Street. This is Seagrove Main Street right down here. Gonna get to the public library. There you go. The public library is 124 Seagrove Main Street. Tembo CPAs is 116 Seagrove Main Street. So this is the county street. This is the street that that they're dealing with as far as like the county, the post office would deal with, because this is the county road. This appears to be the Seagrove Town Center Association Incorporated. So this is private property, and it's not even post office private property. This is not even post office private property. This is Seagrove Town Center Association Incorporated. So the question that I would have for Jeff Gray is, first of all, if these rules are correct, if the petitions and solicitation is the rule, and if that area right in front of the library is not library property, but it is actually the public sidewalk, if that is actually the public sidewalk, then why don't these various restrictions, like specifically number 3 and 4, why don't they apply to him? If I mean, he's saying he's holding this up as some sort of a fucking authority. He's holding this up as an authority, saying, "Look, I have the right to do this because this is a traditional public forum. I'm underneath an American flag, the quintessential public forum." So if that is the case, then why wouldn't these apply? Because we all know that reasonable time, place, and manner restrictions can be applied to traditional public forums. But I don't even think it's traditional public forum. I think it's a motherfucking privately owned parking lot. That's what I think. Anyway, I figure I'm done beating that one up. So we will move on, shall we? Shall we move on? Does that sound like a fun thing to move on? I processed like 15 or 16 of them today. So those ones, they're chilling out, they're going to turn into pieces of shit here in over the next couple of weeks. But right now they're just chilling out. The rest of them, all the hens and one lucky rooster, are relaxing in the calm and quiet since we processed almost all the roosters. We're going to get that other rooster though. He doesn't get to survive. He does not get to survive. This is going to be a rooster free zone. And we're going to get, so since people are interested in the chickens, I've been discussing this with my wife. She's gone through the backyard breeder stage where she bought like 2 of these and 3 of those and 2 of those and 1 of these and 2 of those. And then, we got a couple roosters just because they're only like 80% sexed or whatever. And so we end up with all these like mutt half-breed chickens running around. And I think I finally convinced her. We're getting rid of all the roosters, so we're not going to have any crossbred backyard breed roosters. And I think the foxes ate your chickens. Oh, that's terrible. That's why we have dogs. The worst is the raccoons and stuff. If you have the chicken wire, they'll get the chickens' heads through the wire and they'll just eat the heads off. Ooh, that's irritating. That's why we got dogs. So anyway, I think I've convinced my wife to get one species or one breed of chicken so that if we do ever have more chicks, they won't look ridiculous. Because backyard breeds, they look terrible. Like you get all the we've got these skinny, gangly things with long necks running around. They just look terrible. No meat on them. They don't lay well. They're just terrible. So anyway, this right here is James Freeman. And he got 897,000 views, right? I mean, this is a big deal. And James always has this angle where he's very hard on the police, unforgiving on the police, and he just assumes that anything that the citizen is doing is correct. So we're actually going to watch this whole video. This is a 19-minute video, and this will probably just be me stopping it every once in a while to shout incoherently at the screen, because this does really irritate me quite a bit. How he treats these situations. So let's get up.
I recently showed you this video of a Billings, Montana police officer arresting a man for failing to ID with no actual crime existing. I called the department and a sergeant essentially told me, "F you if you don't like what we do."
So I don't know. So James says no, there was no crime existing. And he's basing this off what the officer says, that the crime that you're committing is failing to ID. Now, I haven't looked up Montana state law, but in theory, if we know anything about stop and ID statutes, as long as they are based on, at a minimum, reasonable suspicion, the cops have to be able to articulate to a court, not to the person who's being detained, even if that person is filming, the cop has to articulate to the court how he had reasonable suspicion. He's going to have to say the underlying facts that gave him that reasonable suspicion, and how his training led him to interpret those facts in a way that gave him reasonable suspicion that crime may be afoot. It's a very low burden, very low hurdle. And you cannot tell from what a cop says on the scene. And I don't know how many times I have to beat this into people's heads. Cops can lie to you. Cops can lie to a detainee. I look better without the beard? Oh, well, I care about your feelings on my looks. Stagecraft Productions. I care what you have to say. And so why don't you go fuck off? Because I really don't actually care about what you have to say. I don't alter my looks for random fucking people on the internet. But anyway, so cops can lie to you. James should know that. Cops only need reasonable suspicion. And if the guy was arrested without reasonable suspicion, well, then his remedy is to sue. Like, why does he need James out stumping for him in some sort of a campaign? Yeah, I'm a knee jerk. Oh, there's a knee jerk. He doesn't need someone to campaign. All he has to do is sue, right? That's the remedy.
Sue the taxpayer. It's been my experience after years of doing this that when there's a department with such blatant disregard for law and order, there's usually a lot more going on.
Well, so what is the department going to say? Even if the officer screwed up, what is the department going to say? Like, the department is just going to like drop his pants and be like, okay, we know you're about to sue us for this, but we're going to go ahead and give statements, and we're going to go ahead and publicly trash this cop so that it makes it easier for you to sue us. You want to see my titties? Nice. Well, I mean, maybe. So it doesn't make sense. Like, only an idiot would think that, okay, my employee just did something that could potentially get my employee sued and me sued. So I'm going to go ahead and just make negative comments about my employee on the internet just to see like how I could turn what might be just a 1983 lawsuit against me on a Monell claim into a employment lawsuit for being publicly trashed, right? Like, James has these he doesn't fucking understand anything. He walks through the world with this naivete, or he sees things in just black and white, and he doesn't realize, like James, you have filed lawsuits against judges, right? You are litigious, James. You don't have any room to say cops should just, departments should just throw their cops under the bus, and we should just deal with cops in the realm of public, YouTube lashings. It doesn't make any sense. If the cop violated a policy, the cop is going to get disciplined by the department, and the department probably is not allowed to discuss employee discipline. Is probably not allowed to do that, except under certain circumstances. And there may be an ongoing investigation, or it may be that this cop had reasonable suspicion.
The following day, somebody sent me this video showing that Billings, Montana police, as well as other...
So what he did is he poisoned the well, right? He said, this cop did a bad thing. And then someone else sent me this video from 2022. And what? How are these related? Is it the same cop 2 years later? Why are you poisoning the well with one? Is Billings, Montana a hotbed of police misadventures?
Departments in the area have been getting away with committing blatant crimes.
Blatant crimes. So James Freeman is the arbiter of what a blatant crime is. James Freeman is an expert on Montana law, and he could find someone guilty just by a video, right? Just by a video. Well, if it's a cop, he could determine that they're guilty just by a video. If it's anybody else, he's going to give them every benefit of the doubt. But if it's a cop, forgo the trial, guilty. Death penalty. I mean, I'm not a cop sucker. I mean, I know people like to think I am, but there should be one set of rules that cops and citizens both have to go by. And if citizens get a trial, and if citizens aren't judged guilty by random fucking internet people who don't know shit about the law, then shouldn't both sides be treated the same? He can't do that. James can't do that.
On and off of the clock for a long time. This video shows a Billings police officer and a Yellowstone County sheriff's deputy picking fights with people outside of a bar. They stand
picking fights with people. At approximately 12:47 a.m., Officer Matt Franks kicks at a passing SUV as it leaves the parking lot, commenting after that the driver should slow down. Okay. All right. Why did he kick at it? Does he know the person? What? See, the problem is we don't fucking know anything about it. Oh, hey, is this the actual Beware Mouse? The actual, I scored 198 out of 180 on the LSAT test, Beware Mouse? Nice. Nice.
in the middle of a parking lot and yell at people and kick their cars as they go by. Then when one person stopped to mouth back off to them, they beat the shit out of him.
That's it. All right. So the other person just stopped to mouth off back to them. That's it. That's all he did, right? This is setting the stage. All he's doing is stopping to mouth off back to these guys, right? It's 3 minutes later. Why are you stopping? Why are you stopping? Why is he stopping? Frank is seen setting down a bottle. Oh, why did they just rush at the window? That's fucking weird. Why did they just rush at the window? Oh, unknown voice. Don't fucking pull a gun, you fucking idiot. Are you fucking kidding me? Huh. So let me see. In James's world, if it had been James standing there, like let's say it was me and James standing there having a beer, right? And maybe after having one too many beers, a driver talks some shit to us, and I knee the driver's car. Does that mean that James at that point would thinks that I or he should have a gun pulled on us? Is that an appropriate response in James's world? Is that what we want people to do? To pull guns on unarmed people because they have the audacity to knee their car door?
Don't fucking pull a gun, you fucking idiot. You fucking kidding me? Pull a gun. You fucking kidding me?
So they tell the passenger to get out. The passenger realizes that this is all fucked up. He wants nothing to do with it. And he gets out of the car. Why? Because the other motherfucker pulled a gun and then shoots somebody. Look, this guy got shot. This guy got shot. Or maybe it was bullet fragments or whatever. But come on, dude. Like you start exchanging words in a parking lot, and it's like, first of all, why the fuck would you stop? Why would you stop? Oh, hey, there's a bunch of drunk guys hanging outside of a bar. Why would you stop? Oh, you're looking for trouble? Great. That's why you would stop. And then you get to trouble and you pull a gun? Like, are you fucking retarded? Frank opens the driver's side door and attempts to pry Delgado from his car. Delgado accelerates out of the lot with the third man still in the car. Yeah, even if it was just me pulling that guy out of the car after he had shot Springer in the face, if it was me pulling him out of the car, I could do that. I could make a citizen's arrest. Like, okay, you just shot somebody in the face over a verbal altercation in a parking lot. Third man rolls out of Malibu before turns. I like how the other officers immediately stop to render first aid to their partner who's been shot in the fucking face. Like, just go ahead and bleed. Just go ahead and bleed. Just go ahead and bleed, bro. You don't need no first aid. So this is almost 5 minutes later. There it goes. Now, according to Delgado's attorney, he returned to pick up his passenger. Right. He returned to pick up his passenger. Maybe not. Would you go back to where you just shot someone to pick up your passenger? I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to judge the guy. I'm not going to say he did or he didn't. I don't know. I'm not going to take him at his word that according to his attorney, he returned to pick up his passenger. I'm not going to take him at his word. Smart attempts to run after the vehicle. He is not so smart. Smart as a guy who got shot in the face. I didn't mean to do that one. I meant to. God damn it. That is a very dedicated Uber driver. He's like, I'm going to get that tip. So Smart was the guy who got shot in the face. And there he goes, tries to go running after a car. Like, bro, I don't care what kind of wheels you got. You are not running faster than a fucking car. And there goes police. The Malibu turns back onto Grand Avenue. At least 5 police cruisers follow Delgado. Officers not involved in the incident arrived at the Grand 10 minutes later to begin their investigation.
Immediately following the incident, the Billings, Montana police chief offered this narrative to the media.
Now let's listen to the narrative that was offered by the Billings, Montana police chief, and let's see if it kind of coincides with what fucking happened.
An off-duty Yellowstone County deputy was injured in a shooting at the Grand Sand Casino in Billings early Saturday.
So far, so good. We're lining up.
Morning. During a press conference Saturday, Billings police chief said a group of off-duty officers were socializing at the casino. Around 12:45, an officer with the Billings Police Department and a Yellowstone County deputy, along with a civilian, left the casino and were talking in the parking lot. Shortly after, a maroon Chevy Malibu with 2 people inside entered the parking lot, stopping near the group and exchanging words before the driver brandished a handgun. Chief St.
Brandished a handgun.
John says the officers and deputy reached into the car to try to get the weapon while the civilian.
That looks like what they were doing. It looks like they were trying to reach in to get a weapon. I mean, I can imagine a lot of reasons to start a wrestling match in the middle of a bar parking lot at almost 1 o'clock in the morning, most of which would involve fornication, struggle snuggles, as it were. But two guys trying to wrestle through a driver's side window into a car. And what are you going to do? Pin the guy to the mat? Like, he's probably wearing a seatbelt. Like, what are you going to do? But if he had a gun, you could struggle through that window for the gun.
Went to the passenger side of the car and got the second person out before trying to control the gun from the other side. During the struggle, it was reported the driver fired 1 shot and the deputy was hit in the face with what is currently believed to be a bullet fragment. The deputy reeled back and, believing he was shot, the officer and civilian continued to struggle with the driver for the gun. A few seconds later, the driver accelerated the car, dragging the officer on the driver's side and the civilian, who was partially in the passenger side. Both were able to free themselves before the vehicle left the parking lot.
Sounds like the narrative is dead on to me. I don't know what James Freeman's problem with this one is.
After seeing the incident, one officer dialed 911 to report a deputy had been shot, and the officers inside left the building to give aid to those involved. While aid was being rendered, the suspect came back and drove through the parking lot. Chief St. John reported officers thought they would be fired at and retreated back into the casino. As the suspect left the parking lot onto Grand Avenue, responding on-duty officers arrived. Officers tried to stop the suspect. However, he fled west on Grand Avenue and drove at speeds of 60 miles per hour. The suspect eventually lost control of the vehicle at the 1200 block of Grand Avenue, slid sideways, rolled, and struck a light pole in front of Albertsons. The driver suffered serious injuries and was taken to the hospital for.
So the guy, the runner, the guy who ran, not only did he put his own life at risk by driving at high speeds to the point where he was unable to control his vehicle, where he ended up rolling the vehicle and getting hurt. He placed everybody else's life at risk who was on the road that night, because he could have just as easily hit them. And this is the good guy? I don't know. There might not be any good guys in this particular situation, but so far, I'm not an expert on Montana law by any stretch of the imagination, but I haven't seen the cops break any law. And I don't even know. He says drunk cops fuck around and find out. I don't know if those cops were drunk. I mean, I've had a full Farmer's Light beer. That one officer had a bottle of something. It's kind of weird. Normally, they don't let you take bottles out into the parking lot, but maybe Montana's different. I do remember hunting in Montana, and the lodge that we were at had a bar in it. And I remember, sitting in there having a nice stiffy to warm up. Drink, that is, not a stiff penis. Although that probably would have warmed me up too. But I remember, like, just dudes were coming in with, pistols strapped on their hips, and they'd stack up their long rifles, the rifles by the door. Just it's what you do in Montana in hunting season. So we got a, oh God, I love, I have a love-hate relationship with the Weremouse. He's so fucking dumb. He's so fucking dumb. I love the guy. Kicking and denting. So what is your evidence it was dented for Weremouse? Who presented evidence to you that there was a dent in a car door? He says, kicking and denting a car for no other reason to as how drunk you are is no fault. Kicking and denting a car for no other reason to as how drunk you are is no fault. Kicking and denting a car for no other reason. 2, as how drunk you are is no fault. I don't know if it's me who's been drinking, and so I am the one who is unable to misunderstand a clearly worded and well-reasoned sentence. We're gonna switch up for a minute. I have a whole playlist on Beware Mouse. Oh, whole playlist on Beware Mouse. This is one of my favorite ones. If I wanted to lie to you and tell you something was something it wasn't, like if I wanted to say that the Tennessee rules of criminal procedure were the federal rules of criminal procedure, I'd tell you how I'd do it. I would cut off the top of my screen so you couldn't see the URL. So where it says TennesseeCourts.gov, I would just have that blank so you wouldn't be able to see how I was lying to you. However, I don't want to lie to you. This is the actual federal rules of criminal procedure. We're going to scroll up here to Rule 3, the complaint. Nowhere in here does it say affidavit. You're welcome. You're welcome, Ian or Ian or whatever that is. Silly Britisher names. You'll also notice that complaint isn't listed in Rule 7. So if you're thinking that you need a complaint for Rule 7, you can just do this. There will be the link in there. It'll be uscourts.gov/sites. It'll be that one. You can just search complaint. There's no complaint in Rule 7. There's no affidavit in Rule 7. It will be there. The evidence will be there. You can search it. Rule 7 does not require a complaint. It does not mention an affidavit. Nothing. Nothing. You don't need an affidavit or a complaint for Rule 7. You do, however, need federal rules of criminal procedure in any court, because it's going to be a federal court, that is going to try somebody for a violation of 18 U.S.C. 242. You will not see that in a Tennessee court because, once again, as I've already shown, only a U.S. Attorney General or Assistant Attorney General or Deputy Attorney General can prosecute a case for the U.S. government or where the U.S. government is a party or has an interest, et cetera, et cetera. Sorry, I've shown that to you. Just deal with it. Also, if you think that you need a affidavit or complaint, you can look up. This is the U.S. Attorney's Office, District of Minnesota. It's on the justice.gov website. I will, of course, have it linked for you because I'm not trying to lie to you. You'll see under indictments, it says instead of filing a complaint or after filing a complaint. So instead of filing a complaint means they don't need a complaint to get an indictment. What they have to present is they have to present evidence at the indictment, and they obtain the evidence with grand jury subpoenas. They don't need a complaint. They don't need an affidavit to get an indictment. I'm sorry that there are stupid people on the internet who are lying to you. I apologize about that. There's nothing I can do about that other than to expose them for the liars, the charlatans, the retards that they are. That's all I can do. If you think I'm lying to you, if you think I'm asking you to believe me without presenting you the evidence, then there's nothing I can do about that. All the links will be in the description. You are free to click them, to check, to ascertain the truthfulness thereof. This is, by the way, this is his video in case he wants to delete it. This is him. I'm not going to play it because I don't want a copyright strike. He's on Rule 3. You'll notice from the header, from that declaration there, this is from the Tennessee government. And TennesseeCourts.gov website. You'll see that this is all the same. The print is in the same place. You are here, home. You're here, home. It's 100% a match. It is identical. I have found where he went to go to lie to you. You're welcome. Have a great day. This is Rule 4, arrest warrant or summons on a complaint. You may notice from the title that you're going to need a complaint because it's an arrest warrant or summons on a complaint. If you look at Rule 1, it's as if the complaint. But the best one.
I don't particularly know why people in my Discord thought that this was relevant, but here we go.
Everybody let old Murphy baby know to come in.
I'm in, Methy. I'm in. What are the voices in your head telling you, Methy?
For those of you in my chat today who aren't aware, this is Beware Mouse. This is the legal genius that is here trying to insert himself.
I'm calling him out tonight, and it's the LSAT.
Calling me out on the LSAT. The LSAT is the Law School Admission Test. It's administered by the Law School Admission Council, I believe. Essentially, it's an SAT, a scholastic aptitude test, but it's designed for people who have graduated or are about to graduate from college to take. And it is very logic-driven. It is designed to see if you are a logical thinker, if you can break apart a problem and figure out the components that you need to work with and how to put them together into a logical, coherent answer. That is obviously not Methy Mouse's strong suit, but it's just really a bunch of logic questions. If you're a logical person, you'll probably do fairly well. If you're a
meth-addled child molester, you probably won't do so great. But let's continue to hear what the meth man has to say.
He's gonna have to pass an LSAT tonight.
I don't have to pass an LSAT tonight. I took an LSAT when I was going to UC Davis. In my final semester there, I took an LSAT. I applied to one school with my combined GPA and LSAT scores. I was given a modest scholarship. So apparently I did fairly well on my LSAT. I don't remember the exact score. It's not meaningful to me, but I did pretty well. I remember comparing it to a friend's, and I did fairly well on it. At least I believe so. Actually, I think I do remember, but it doesn't really matter. I'm not here to brag on some retarded test that I took a long time ago. And I don't need to take it anymore because the LSAT is to get you into law school. I got into law school. I, in fact, graduated from law school. And then I took the bar exam and I passed the bar. So I don't need to take the LSAT. It is literally meaningless. It's like saying that I have to take the SAT to get into college again. I don't. I'm done with that. It's over. I don't know what meth-fueled pipe dream is bringing this about, that somehow you have the power to compel me to take a test, the power to administer the test, the power to the knowledge and the skill to derive the correct answers, so grade me in my performance. I mean, there are all these assumptions that you're making that you're completely incapable of making. Powers you don't have, abilities you lack. But I guess when you're strung out on meth.
Oh no, Izzy. Meth Mouse Rex Fredrickson is a convicted sexual predator.
You're Superman, right?
I got news for you. I did 198 in mine.
He did 198 in his. Obviously, he didn't 180. He's the highest possible score. Thanks for playing, you're a retard.
198.
I think you cheated.
He thinks I cheated. Well, that's a heck of a
198. 198. Oh God, that guy's fucking hilarious. But anyway, so I will indulge you. This is the last time I'm indulging you. Beware Mouse, because you're really stupid. I'm not defending them. I'm saying they haven't committed a crime. Beware Mouse. There's a difference between saying that someone did something bad that I don't like and saying somebody committed a crime. A crime is something that they can be punished for under the laws of the state of whatever the state they're in, or the federal government or something. The laws are something that they can be charged and convicted of. They can be charged and convicted of a crime. What they did might be rude, sure. It might be something I don't like, sure. It might be something you could sue them over, sure. But is it a crime? Well, that would require there to be some sort of a statute or common law crime in place that makes it a crime to kick a car. But again, the first car that went by, we don't know who was driving it, why. We don't know if it was their friend. It could have been another cop in that car. So it has to be a crime. It has to be a crime. And I'm not going to go kicking car doors, you fucking retard, because I just said it was wrong to do that. I don't want to damage other people's property. It's not a crime. What would a cop say if you call the cops and say, "Hey, somebody just kicked my car door"? The cop would show up and be like, "Yeah, I'm real sorry. You should sue him over it." It's not vandalism, if not assault. Is it vandalism? Did he do damage to it? Did he actually do damage to it? Don't peck my power button, bird. Kicking car doors is not a crime. Just in kicking a car door, it's not a crime. It's not assault. Assault would, like, if you kick something, like if you normally assault is going to be, well, battery would be the unlawful touching of someone, not their car. If you kick a cop car, you'll be arrested. Maybe depends on the state. Maybe. That's a stupid thing to say, though, Vanessa, because depending on the state, you may not. Depending on the circumstances, you may not. You don't know. But that's the point. That's the point. Is what James is doing in this video, just for the small-minded people. What James is doing in this video is he is saying that what I don't like is a crime. And what the pro-cop people do is the pro-cop people say, what I don't like is a crime. I don't like Jeff Gray soliciting in front of schools. So that must be a crime. And the anti-cop people say, I don't like these cops kicking people's car doors and saying they're driving too fast in a parking lot. So it must be a crime. Both sides are retarded because both sides try to say, I don't like this, therefore it should be or is criminalized. And if the person kicking that car door wasn't a cop, if you reverse the roles, and it was a citizen kicking doors, telling people to slow down, going through the parking lot, and if a cop rolled up undercover, not displaying anything, and said, guys want to fuck around and find out, or something like that, and then it's like, yeah, we'll fuck around and find out, and then the cop pulled a gun on him, what would Springer say? Springer would be up in arms about how this cop shot somebody in the face over no crime at all. Over no crime at all is what Springer would say. Like I said, this is just going to get me like yelling at the screen here. Was there damage? Was there an intent to cause damage? Can you prove it? Remember, well, so the intent would be to do the thing, most likely. I mean, if you're gonna sue someone for damage to your vehicle, which you could, I mean, they damaged your personal property, you'd sue them over it, but you'd have to prove the damage. Yeah, but is it a crime? No, I don't think it's a crime. I'm 90% sure it's not a crime. What they did wasn't a crime. Oh, sure. I mean, and I'm not here to try to support, contempt of cop or whatever. I'm not trying to support that kind of thing at all. Yeah, cops arrest people all the time for contempt of cop. Well, I say all the time. There's a lot of arrests that happen every day, and some statistical number of that is going to be just contempt of cop. See, here's the fun thing. People like, could it be this? Could it be this? Yeah, could it be? Sure. But you don't know, do you? You don't know, do you? But let's listen to Freeman.
For care. The handgun was also recovered from the wreckage near the suspect. After about 5 to 6 months, the sheriff finally concluded that his deputy had violated the agency's policy on ethics and conduct. Deputy Smart received a letter of reprimand telling him that what he did was naughty, but faced no further consequences. Officer Matt Frank was suspended for 2 weeks for his involvement. Neither Deputy Smart or Officer Frank faced any criminal charges for their blatant...
Criminal charges for what?
For 2 weeks for his involvement. Neither Deputy Smart or Officer Frank faced any criminal charges for their blatant criminal behavior on that.
Blatant criminal behavior. What law? We got armchair attorneys in here fucking just guessing. Disorderly conduct, criminal mischief? I don't know. Excessive masturbation?
That evening. Both still hold positions.
Swinging at someone and missing is assault. See, Lyncher, you're fucking stupid, because if you go to like New York, assault is the actual contact. And so there's the God, just I'm not even gonna talk to you because Lyncher, you're a piece of shit, and I don't want to talk to you.
At their department, and Officer Matt Frank was recently featured on a podcast on the City of Billings YouTube channel. A link to that is below. Contact.
How dare he be allowed to be on a YouTube video 2 and a half years after he kicked a car door. How dare he? Suspended for doing nothing wrong? Asks the incredulous Beware Mouse. He violated policy, you dumb shit. Beware Mouse, violations of policies aren't crimes. It's an employment policy. It's the employee handbook. And this is the end. This is the end. Until I relent on you again, because you're an annoying piece of shit, Lyncher.
Information is listed below if you would like to say anything to the district attorney about their refusal to prosecute criminals.
Refusal. If you want to say something to the district attorney about the refusal to prosecute criminals, first of all, are they a criminal? Second of all, what crime did they commit? You don't like my singing, Mato? I am recovering from a cold still, so I can understand that. But I could croon to you. I could be a crooner, not a coomer. I think a coomer in the new lexicon is a bad thing.
Not that will actually change what's going on. You're not living in a system of law and order. You're just being ruled by a bunch of thugs. But hey,
see, here's the weird thing. A guy pulled a gun on other guys in a parking lot over a verbal altercation. Like, I would want cops to arrest people, generally speaking, who pull guns over verbal altercations in parking lots. I would want cops to arrest anyone, including other cops, who pull guns over verbal altercations in parking lots. Is that an insane statement? Am I a bootlicker if I say that? I don't think so. It is a completely unreasonable response to pull a gun over a verbal altercation in a parking lot. I mean, I don't think the cops in this situation were necessarily good guys. I mean, it's a dick move to be kicking cars as they go by in a parking lot. But does that mean we don't have a system of laws? And I don't know. I think we do, because like if someone kicks your car door, you sue them. If it's a cop who kicks your car door, I mean, maybe you could sue the department too. That's your remedy, not pulling a gun.
Hey, don't take my word for it. Let me show you another 1,000 videos over the next 5 years of government getting...
Oh, beware mouse. Oh, he says it looks like they're punching his through the window again. Perfectly legal. Yeah. The dude has a gun pulled on him, you fucking moron. They are... If he had pulled a gun on you, beware mouse, even though you're a sexual predator, if he had pulled a gun on you, you would be entitled to use self-defense, which would be anything up to and including lethal force, because he pulled a gun on you. If you, a sexual predator, a person on the Megan's list, had a gun pull on you like this, you would be entitled to take lethal action against them. Yeah, he does. He does. Anyway, that's all I got for you tonight. I'm going to have another beer or two. Thanks for watching. Have a great evening.